Hey, did you know that the Torture Pod has merch? Yeah. Over at redbubble.com/people/torturepod, we have a whole bunch of different items that you can wear, adorn on your phone or your computer or your car to show your love for torture. We have Brazen Bull t-shirts. You can have the torture logo on a mug. Guild Array on Hat Day on a hat, if that's what you choose. Welcome to Latumba shower curtains. I mean, literally, anything you want. iPhone cases with sort your fucking life out on them. I mean, how much better does it get? And remember, all Pride merch sold, profits go directly to the Trevor Project. So you're also helping people in the process of showing your love for the podcast. So go to redbubble.com/people/torturepod. And as all the kids these days say, get your fit on, bro. I don't know if that's what they say or not. I'm not cool. The subject of today's episode is a method of execution that stood as a symbol of the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa in the 1980s and early 90s. This form of vigilante justice would be directed towards anyone that conspired with the exceptionally racist government, anyone that was suspected of conspiring with the government, and as we'll see later, anyone that happened to just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. A fairly easy technique to accomplish. All an unruly mob would really need was some petrol, car tire, and a box of matches to make a statement to anyone that dared speak to the police. We'll learn a little of the history of how South Africa became so divided, find some other countries that would delve into vigilante justice, see how the Brazilian cartel could somehow make it even worse, and discover a whole new definition for the word Kentucky. Today, we give you necklacing. I'm Kevin Young.
Hello, my name's Daniel Hourigan. You're listening to my podcast. Prepare to be entertained.
That's fucking perfect. Love it. And this is Torture, Dan's podcast. Prepare to be entertained.
Well, our podcast. But
there
yes.
you go.
I was going to say is that the line is "killed my father," so I was like, yeah, go. If anything, this is Kevin's podcast, and I'm along for the ride.
No.
So.
It's a joint venture. How you doing, bud?
Good. You know, still alive after my trip to see the enemy. Nobody followed me back to steal my potatoes or
that you know
land.
Yeah, if we know one thing about the English, they play the long game. So
that's true.
You never know. Might have somebody just creeped out in a tree somewhere. Watch
see Sam Breer's outside.
From now on, anytime I think of the English, he's the first one that pops in my head. Love you, buddy.
If the English is Sam, if it's Canadian, it's Phil.
Yes. Right.
But yeah, all's good. Right. All's good. How are things over your side?
Not too bad. Well, things on this side are getting fucking horrible. But this isn't a political podcast, so we'll skip over that. Me personally, me personally did all right. Actually, I got a little bit more sleep today because every time about this year when we sit down to record, so there's a big time difference between me and Dan, Ireland and the Midwest. Usually
27 minutes.
Yeah, it's a fucking pain in the ass. It's about 6 hours. But we just had our daylight savings, and you haven't had yours yet.
Yeah.
So usually about this time, I would go to bed. I'd wake up super early, get everything ready, just to find out that you weren't going to be on here for another fucking hour because of daylight savings. And then later on in the year, when we switch and we get an hour back, I will get up too late, and Dan's messaging me like, "Are you coming on or what?" I'm like, fuck, I forgot. So before I go to bed, I'm like, wait, we just had daylight savings. I need to make sure. And I check, and it was still 1 o'clock. When it was like 8 o'clock here, it's 1 o'clock there. So
yeah.
Start doing the math. I'm like, fuck, I get to sleep for 5.5 hours instead of 4.5 hours. Fuck nice. Yeah, man. I was so goddamn excited. Now, granted, I'm the type of person when I know something's coming up, I will constantly wake up and look at the clock to see make sure I don't oversleep.
Yeah, I was doing that all morning.
Constantly waking up, turning and looking. And of course, usually I get up at like 12:15, I turn and look and it's like 20:12. I'm like, I should still be asleep, but I'm awake wanting to know when I'm supposed to get up.
You're just so excited to see me that you just couldn't sleep. It's like Christmas.
It's true.
Eve.
So excited.
You're just like,
just laying in bed, just kicking the sheets.
Yeah. Stephanie's like, you get to see Dan tomorrow, don't you? Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Are you recording today?
Yeah. I'm the exact same though. As I was doing that this morning where, like I said to you, though, we're going away family trip this weekend. And because of the cats, had to put them into the boarding thing for the weekend. Mm-hmm. But I got the times mixed up, which was really fucking funny because the hours for this place are, they're for a place of business like themselves. It may make perfect sense, but for normal folk, they're a pain in the ass. And I thought they only open for a couple of hours and then they're closed. Only for a couple of hours in the morning, then they close for the entire day, then they open for a couple of hours in the evening. Right? Okay. Excuse me. So they're the only time slots you can go drop off or pick up. And I thought you had to have them there by 9 o'clock at the latest. That 9 was when they were closing in the morning. Nope. They open at 9. Then I only realised after the fact, I Googled it and everything, and I'm like, back to sleep. Oh yeah. But then I kept waking back up.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had the time to do it, but I also had to go to work. But I kept waking up and kept waking up and kept waking up. And it didn't help then that Smudge was after fucking crawling up into the bed as well. It was annoying the shit out of me. But so I'm the same though, yeah, when I know there's something going on, I'll wake up out of fear of oversleeping.
Yeah, just every 20 minutes or so. It feels like you slept for 3 hours and you wake up and it's been, just a few minutes. God.
Yeah. I fucking hate that shit.
But,
I got,
it is what it is.
Oh, yeah. Fuck it.
Oh, tell us how was, our buddy Dan's getting into bingo. How was bingo?
Yeah. So, the only time I'd ever previously done it was when, as a kid and stuff like that, and then we do it the odd time when we're on holidays. There's always these things when you're abroad in some places, like Spanish touristy place, whatever, they always seem to have bingo nights on a pub. So we did it. Well, Christmas we went abroad, and it was a bit of fun. So my wife found out through a friend of hers or something that there's a local thing that's organised and do charity stuff and all sorts of shit as well.
Sure.
And it was meant to be good fun. So she said to me like, "Oh, would you want to go?" And blah, blah, blah. So I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll go with you," because I know she loves it. So I was like, "Yeah, let's go. Be a bit of fun." So we went the first night, and it was like the second game in a round like that, and I won a full house thing.
Yeah.
And so it was meant to be £100, but somebody else won as well, so we got 50. And we were joking, it was that's paid for the night, and it's this and it's that, and yada yada. So then we went again last night, and we're sitting down. It was only a few minutes into it, and lo and behold, what happens? This motherfucker wants some money again.
Fucking A.
Yeah, and I was literally that fucking close to winning 1,000.
Oh man, that would have been fucking awesome.
One fucking number off. I had 3 boxes with one number left to go, and I'm sitting there going, come on. And every time, like, one of them was like, say, 36, and every time he said like 30 something, I'd be like
13?
Yeah.
7.
You
Fuck,
bastard.
fuck. Oh man, I've been pissed. Fuck.
There was actually one of them where he genuinely seemed to take a year to say the number, and you could hear the sigh in the room of people. Like, you could hear, it was like every person who was obviously waiting on, and like, say it was like 50 something, and he was like 54, and he hears like, it's a whole thing, like, this wave of disappointment coming over the room.
Oh fuck. Was it just a bunch of old people, or
No,
age
it's
too,
mix, every age up and down, yeah.
Your bingo cards looked odd to me. They were like, because ours is bingo. It's 5 across, 5 down. You know, the free space in the middle. But yours were a little different.
Yeah, it's like, just, I don't know. I must Google what your ones look like. It's just the whole thing is like, it's a 10, it's a 5 kind of cells, let's say, and each of those then will have X amount of numbers in it, and dividing between 1 and 90 between them, so you'd have, what is that, then 15 per thing, or so. I can't remember how many I even said, 5 yolks, so I don't remember how many numbers are in it. I see what you're talking about. Yeah, what our yoke is yeah. The whole thing with ours is it's completely, gets kind of a bit more, I don't say kind of random, but like, everybody would essentially obviously have all the same numbers, just in different orders. Completely different orders, like, you know, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we get cards, ours all have different numbers on them.
Yeah.
B15.
Yeah. All the 2s, little ducks. And all that.
Well.
Yeah. That's the bingo.
All
That's
right.
all
well,
I
Dan,
can ever think of. It's Christopher Waltz.
Oh.
Every time we played it, let's just wait for somebody to say, that's a bingo.
That's a bingo. Which one was that? Inglourious Bastards or Django?
Yeah, it was Inglourious Bastards. It's the brilliant scene when he's in the house at the start. It's just.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The man deserved that Oscar for that whole scene
I haven't seen it in a while. It's such a good fucking movie. God, it might be my favorite Tarantino movie. That one and Reservoir Dogs.
I think I'd be in complete agreement with you. Yeah, Alison still hasn't seen it yet. Actually, must watch it because it's fucking hilarious as well. And she likes war movies, and it's a great take on one. Like, you know, but she's also watching it because she's 50-50 on Tarantino. I'm like that as well. It's his movies are amazing. They're shit.
Yeah.
So.
I think I like Tarantino more than I don't like his stuff, but there has been a few that's like,
Yeah.
Anyway,
I get you. This other thing I was going to talk about. That's not torture related. Did you know I ate food today? I sustenized myself.
You made a bolognese this weekend.
Anyway, sorry, go on. The subject of today's episode.
Start from scratch. Dan, let's take you back to the 1980s, specifically 1985. Ronald Reagan is. Were you born that year?
No, a couple of years later.
Okay. My wife was born the next year. I was already 2 by this time. Ronald Reagan is sworn into office to begin his second term as President of the United States, something that I'm still just disappointed in. We Are the World is recorded. Coke switches its formula to New Coke, one of the biggest marketing blunders of all time. Back to the Future is released in theaters. Queen steals the show at Live Aid. The wreckage of the Titanic is finally found. Super Mario Brothers is released on the original Nintendo system. Calvin and Hobbes debuts. Careless Whisper by Wham. Like a Virgin by Madonna. Foreigners, I Want to Know What Love is some of the best, biggest songs of the year. And you, Dan, are probably, for the first time anyone has ever told you this, a black man by the name of Benjamin Kinikini. a 57-year-old town councilor in Kwanobuhle, Atenhaga, Eastern Cape, South Africa. I'm pretty sure I murdered the name.
It sounded like you were trying to say one of the Japanese place names again.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those places that has, like, if you look up the pronunciation, it's got like 5 different pronunciations depending on what dialect of what language you're using at the time. You have, Swahili, and you have fucking Afrikanese and Afrikaners and a whole bunch of other ones. So I just picked one.
Yes, Afrikaans.
Yeah. A position that was a part of the black local authorities and seen as an extension of the apartheid government. You yourself have come under fire for reportedly helping apartheid security forces abduct anti-apartheid youth activists and have been pressured to step down from your position. You refuse to do so, making you the target for the UDF, or the United Democratic Front. On March 23rd, 1985, you, your sons, and nephews are out in the township walking along the street when a mob of angry vigilantes attacks you and your family. They begin stoning you and your family, then stabbing the 5 of you.
That kind of stoning?
Different type of stoning.
Damn it.
Equally as bad for your body, though, kids.
I just got to realize that if you're saying I'm black today, then finally I get to say I'm just a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. Finally get to play it. Finally get to say it. I'm just a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Then they proceed with the actual death sentence. They surround you and force a car tire over your head and around your upper arms. The tire has been drenched in gasoline, either before or during the assault, and then it is lit on fire. Now, you most likely have your hands tied in order to make it all but impossible to remove said burning tire from your body. You may try to run, but if the mob doesn't keep you from going far, the weight and heat from the tire will. This is the torture and execution of necklacing.
You can't exactly stop, drop, and roll either.
No, well, I mean, you can roll. You actually probably roll.
You just keep rolling. Yeah.
But your
that's
feet
the
would
problem.
Be an anchor point, and you just go in a circle.
It just makes it worse.
You'd be like, "This is horrible," but hey guys, watch this.
I think it's funny. It's kind of like the way we covered the breaking wheel, right? And everybody's like, right, so we got this great invention that's really good for transporting stuff. Let's use it to hurt people. And then X amount of time later, they're kind of like, we still have this circular thing that's really good for transport and stuff. That's fine, but we can't use it to hurt people in the same way. Let's find a new way.
Yeah, we can't.
Now, with that being said, having a tire thrown at you is still going to hurt like fucking crazy.
Yeah,
that's going to really hurt your ass.
It can probably break a bone, but I don't see a tire being thrown at you going to break your femur. Your femur's as hard as concrete. But,
no.
Yeah, I mean,
you had to get inventive.
It comes all around, comes all the way around. And look,
it goes.
A wheel. It's a circle. Oh, it's a wheel.
That's it, people. We've hit that space now. I can't remember the word for it because my brain is too.
Yeah.
This has to be the last episode now, people. Sorry, we're signing off. We've gone full circle.
Meme is that GIF.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as the tire burns, it can reach a temperature of up to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I realize that for those of you who use Celsius instead of Fahrenheit, you might not understand 2,000 degrees. It's hot.
It's about... It's like, for all any of the Irish UK people there, it's like getting off that plane when you land in Spain. When you walk out to the runway for the first time and you feel that heat hit you, and then they pack you onto that little bus to drive you 20 feet to the terminal that you have to walk out, and you're all crammed in like fucking sardines. The heat in that bus, that's that heat.
There you go. For Americans,
so,
it's Arizona.
40 degrees.
Just going to Arizona. Phoenix. It's Phoenix. Or most of Texas. Part of Florida. Georgia in the summer. It's a whole big part of America. It gets about that hot. So in Celsius, it's like 1,093.333 degrees. So,
Nice. Toasty.
So hot. Yeah.
The average temperature women shower with.
Yes. Aren't you going to get in a little bit? No. Yeah. How do you still have skin, woman?
Yeah. Yeah, if you touch them, they bruise easily. You're going to go, huh? Hey, honey. She's like, ow, ow.
You elbow me in the middle of the night. She pulls her sleeve off, and her entire arm is purple.
Yeah.
And then she gets in the shower. When Steffi comes
shower
out of the shower,
now.
Her skin is beet fucking red. I mean, she looks like she has a sunburn when she gets out of the shower. That water is so fucking hot. So I won't take a shower with her. I won't. Because it's too fucking hot. I'd have to stand there and freeze rather than fucking melt my skin off.
And one little drop sprays against you.
It's like I'm getting bled on by a fucking xenomorph. It's like, it's eating through me.
When you throw a really fatty hamburger into the frying pan, you know, they get that.
Yeah, you do it the wrong way. You do it towards you instead of away from you, and it's all fucking, Oh, it's my favorite shirt, too. Yeah. God damn it.
Anyway, tires.
Anyway.
Fire. Who's that Pokemon?
Anyway, tires. But at that heat, the rubber will begin to melt and become a tar-like substance that will travel down your body, burning away at any flesh it touches. And of course, if this isn't enough for the relatively short time you continue to be alive, you will also have to deal with the toxic fumes from the burning rubber, making it almost impossible to see or breathe as benzene, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and other harmful chemicals begin to burn away. Eventually, the victim passes out from the fumes or the extreme pain, and the body is consumed by flame. This, too, is the result of Benjamin's attack, dying in a very public manner, along with his sons and nephews, ages ranging from 22 to 12.
Bastards.
Yeah.
At least nobody was sitting there pinging pennies off the kids' arses this time.
No, they might have been. Every time they said it's very public. It's in the middle of the street, and this is almost every single time from what I could see. It's just a mob of people standing around, chanting, having a good time, having fun with these people just dying this brutal, agonizing death. It's fucking vicious.
I like the way it's the fumes that make it that they can't see properly and not the fire in their face.
Yeah, well.
They can't see or breathe because of all the fumes.
A little both. Yeah. You're breathing in the fire and the fumes.
Yeah, you're sitting there, oh my God! Yeah, these fumes! These fumes are killing me.
I can't see. I can't.
That'd be okay if it wasn't for the fumes.
Somebody's like, listen, I'm not going to put you out, but I'll wave my hand in front of your face to keep the fumes away. Yeah, so you can breathe for a little bit longer.
Yeah, thank you.
But now, it wasn't just town councilors and political officials that had to worry about this type of vigilante justice. Anyone that was perceived to be associated with the apartheid government or police could be targeted, man, woman, or child. I mean, there are plenty of children. 12 is about the youngest that I found, but there's no reason to think that that is the youngest. It could be anybody. What was it? The guy in Game of Thrones said he had his little birdies. They just imagined that the government had their little birdies out there around, and if they found out about it, you were gonna fucking fry. You know?
Did he use like wheelbarrow tires, like smaller ones for the kitties?
That's a possibility. He's really tiny. Do we have like a go-kart or something around?
Yeah. We get one of those like little Tykes cars things. Just pop the wheel off.
Just pop a wheel off Tonka truck. Put them on, baby.
Yeah.
Now, if a person was accused of being a police informant or working with a SCARIS or a former anti-apartheid activist who switched sides to work for the apartheid government, the community, fearing infiltration, would capture the accused and hold a people's court. Wapner, definitely Wapner. Often with minimal evidence. If found guilty, the person was beaten and a tire that had been doused in gasoline was placed around their chest and arms before being set on fire. Many times, their hands would be either tied down with barbed wire or just simply cut off. Yeah.
Ooh,
What's going to
okay.
keep him from just picking it up and pushing it off of him? I'll fucking cut off his hands.
Yeah.
I mean, we could just cut off his head. No, we're going to set him on fire.
Then the tire won't sit properly. You cut off his head.
It's not technically necklacing if he doesn't have a neck left.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Jesus
God.
Christ. Crowds would often chant freedom slogans, believing they were eliminating threats to the struggle.
Idiots.
I mean,
I'm sure some people are probably where people are hoping to get. Not that it justifies any of it, but
yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
I mean, just a guy laying down on the ground, burning. People are chanting. He's like, "You're off key. This guy over here's a little flat." I mean, that would be great. I mean, as you're going down, just be as sarcastic and ironic and fucking pissy as you can be, just to piss him off. Be like, "Yeah, well, your mother's still a whore."
Like the Ling Chi guy.
Yes.
He was a sarcastic prick.
Yes. Usurper. Write it in your own melted fucking skin, usurper.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, what the fuck does that mean? It's like, you know, in about 40 years, somebody's going to do a podcast, and then you'll know.
Just sitting there making yo mama jokes the entire time. Yeah.
Like, hey, before I die, knock, knock. Who's there? You know. You know who.
That was swallowing Pepsi at the time.
Oh, fuck.
Damn it.
Now,
Now
like
I need a whiskey.
a young man from Soweto, South Africa, only known as Cello. In 1986, he was accused of working with the police's covert unit that infiltrated anti-apartheid movement. After being pointed out as an informant, he was dragged into the streets by a mob and necklaced as people cheered. The thing is, they didn't even know if this young man was an informant or not. One of the activists later told a reporter, quote, "We didn't know if he was really an informer, but fear and anger drove us to act. We had seen our comrades disappear if we didn't punish traitors, and we knew we'd be next." And that's what the anti-apartheid movement called each other, comrade. And it didn't say why. It's just that's what they. We get the titles.
Okay, why did they have a problem with apartments?
With
Because I caught
apartments?
that. Yeah, I caught that.
The anti-apartment movement. You buy houses here.
Yeah.
No apartments.
Semi-detached or nothing, motherfuckers.
The police arrived, but due to things like being outnumbered, being seen as enforcers of the oppressive regime, or to avoid escalating tensions further, they didn't intervene, which is something that happens 99% of the time. The police show up and be like, "Oh, well, that sucks," and do nothing. They just stand there. Because if they get involved, they're going to get it too. And honestly, even if you are working with the government to try to rein this anti-apartheid movement in, they don't really give a fuck. Because good chance you're black anyway, and they don't fucking care. Because this wasn't happening to white people. There were no, as far as I know, out of all the people that were necklaced, it didn't happen to any white people. It was all black on black vigilante justice because you were being seen as a traitor to your own kind, trying to keep, your own man down.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What? Yeah.
Crazy shit.
So that leads us to the question of what was so wrong in South Africa at the time that would lead to these types of brutal killings.
So much.
So much. So to answer that, we need to go back a ways. Now, Dan, I know that I don't need to explain the concept of systematic oppression from a foreign country forced upon an entire group of people for the gain of land and control over the indigenous population to you.
No. Short version is the white people should not be there.
Pretty much. However, there may be some out there, Sambers, that don't understand what it's like to have, what do you like to say, a boot on your throat?
Yeah. Yeah, have a boot on your neck. Yeah.
I don't really understand it either, nor does the majority of our listeners. I don't think that most of the people who listen to this show know what true oppression really feels like. It's
until you get married.
Zing!
Yeah.
Got it. It's about time. Wife. It's about time you got her. Oh, man.
Yeah. Love you. Yeah.
Good cover. Good cover. So let's have a little history lesson on apartheid South Africa and how it came to be. Spoilers, the English are involved. Just so you're not shocked when that happens. You know, two things I need to let you know in advance. If you're watching a movie and the dog dies, you need to know in advance. And if there's a systematic oppression from a foreign government, you need to know it's probably the English.
Yeah. On that note, real quick, actually doing a sim race thing the other day. Don't want to divert too much, right? And it's mainly English guys in the group that I'm in. And I was in front in one of the races, and there was a load of them behind me. One of the guys like, "Oh, you get nervous there, Dan?" Because they're all bearing down on me. And like, this isn't the first time an Irishman's been chased down by 5 Brits, lads. Don't worry, I got this covered.
And they're all like, "Oh, here he goes again with Irish and English."
Yeah, I made a card covered in potatoes for chasing down British people with. So it's called Spudnik.
Oh God, of course it is.
Yeah.
Now,
anyway,
this is going to be a fairly quick history lesson. We'll hit some major points of substance in South African history, but nothing too terribly involved. You could do an entire fucking 3-part series on the oppression of South Africans, but we're just going to hit it just real fast. So I say it real fast, but we started off in 1652. Let's go back 400 years for a real quick history lesson. Yeah. The Dutch East India Company established a resupply station at the Cape of Good Hope, Africa. Initially small, the settlement grew into a major strategic outpost for the Dutch and would later serve as a base for European colonial expansion into southern Africa. Dutch farmers, known as Boyers, began to expand their influence beyond the Cape, moving into more fertile land in the area. And by the 1700s, they were importing slaves from other parts of Africa, Madagascar, and Asia to work on their farms. Now, as they expanded, they encountered indigenous African tribes like the Kyokhoi, the Sand Bushmen, and the Xhosa. These groups were pushed off their land with violence and exploitation, eventually being taxed in order to force them to work on Dutch farms, leading to numerous clashes and violent resistance. What's up, man?
Just the concept is just so fucking funny in some way. It's disgusting, but it's kind of like, we're here, we're taking your land, and you're going to pay us for it.
Pretty
much. Like...
Yeah. Hey, you see all this? This is mine now. Give me money? You're not going to give me money? Fine. Get to work. Yeah. Get to work. It's like, I was already where this is my land. I was already working here. All right, we'll do it some more. And now it's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the entirety of European expansion, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that's yeah. They came over here and did it to the Native Americans. Go to Africa.
I know, yeah. It's just when you talk about it, I just think it's
so fucking ridiculous. What's that Daniel Tosh joke where he's like, listen, slavery was bad. It was horrible. Let's get that out of the way. But honestly, it's kind of neat that we pulled it off. Because all these guys, all these black guys are like, we could beat your ass, right? We could just run away. But they didn't. It's kind of weird. Which is, it's true. Because you got all these, like, healthy and strong tribes of, whether it be in Africa or whether it be, the Native American population here in America first. And then just these sickly English with fucking sores on their faces, and half of them have fucking scurvy from traveling on boats, just come over and be like, I'm going to shoot you in the face.
Yeah.
And they just take all their shit. Guns, people. Guns made all the difference.
And potato famine.
And potato famine, which wasn't real. So in 1795, the British took control of the Cape during the Napoleonic Wars to keep it from falling into the hands of the French. And even though the Treaty of Amiens was signed in 1803 to give the Dutch power back over the Cape, once Napoleon defeated them at Waterloo, the British took permanent control of the Cape Colony. Now, to their credit, the British did abolish slavery in 1834, but that was a far cry from ending racial discrimination. In 1877, the British sought to extend their influence by annexing the South African Republic, which angered the Boer settlers. They resisted the British and fought for independence. The discovery of gold there in 1886 just heightened tensions between the two groups, leading to war. The Boers being granted the right to self-govern, although they would still be under British control. However, after more gold was found, they went back to war in 1899, and by 1902, the area officially became a part of the British Empire. It's like, we have some gold. No, that's ours. You want to fight about it? All right, tell you what, it's not that much gold. You can govern yourself. It'll be all right. Walking away. Is that more gold? Oh, come back. You didn't say you had more. I know you didn't want to fight, but here's the entire British Navy. And now it's ours. That's essentially what it boils down to.
It's kind of funny such a small country did so much.
I know, right? Just this little fucking group of islands right there off of Europe where horrible weather. It's like, we're going to control the world. And the rest of the world's looking at it like, patting on the head, sure you are, buddy. And the next thing you know, they have a gun and they just start shooting people. We're going to control the world. Run, hide. Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
Now, this led to the Union of South Africa in 1910. The Union was governed by a white minority, which enacted early segregationist laws like the 1913 Natives Land Act that restricted black South Africans from owning land outside designated reserves, which made up only 7% of the country, later expanded to 13% in 1936. The 1923 Natives Urban Areas Act controlled black movement into cities. The 1936 Representation of Natives Act removed black voting rights in the Cape Province. Like, I know you were here long before us, but we're going to decide who runs this place. You're not going to have a say in it. You had a say in it before. No more. You don't get to vote anymore.
I don't know. I'm just trying to play through stuff. I just don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, why?
The audacity of some people.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, it bothers me. Like, I mean, I just don't get it.
Yeah, me either. I don't. But yeah, that shit still happens.
Yeah. So, like, you go to somewhere where all these black people were originally from, let's say, and then you don't want them to have anything to do with anything, you enslave them and all that shit, all because they're black.
Yeah.
Yet their land is good enough for you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, where they're from, which is what essentially caused the pigmentation of their skin, in the sense that, you know what I mean, over centuries and yada, 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 is good enough for you. But, you know, so what makes them different to you in that sense is good enough for you, but not...
Yeah, it's a darker shade of brown.
And it just... It's just weird. Like, it's just stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
it doesn't make any sense.
Like, I know there's no way of putting it to make any sense anyway. But like, the more you think about it, like, I mean, the more like it's just kind of like, how stupid are these people? That. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Go on. Damn,
Everybody
idiots.
out there, if you just think you're better than somebody because of the color of their skin, how stupid are you?
You're an idiot.
Fucking idiots. Now, after World War II, more factories and industries popped up, creating a bigger demand for workers in the city. As a result, a lot of poor black Africans started moving from the countryside to the cities in search of better jobs. This didn't sit well with the white Afrikaners, who were worried that more people in the city would mean fewer jobs for whites, and they even feared that black Africans might rise up because they had more opportunities. So up came the National Party, or the NP, led by Daniel Francois Malin. Now, they won the 1948 election on a platform of formalizing and intensifying racial segregation under a new system called apartheid, or apartness in Afrikaans. And you might think, well, how would they win an election? Because, like I just said, black people weren't allowed to vote. If they could, they might not have won.
Yeah.
Now, laws were cool. That's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to make it so people can't vote. So, I mean, it's strategy as old as time. You want to win something, make sure that people who don't agree with you can't get their voice heard. So, laws were quickly passed to enforce racial separation. In 1949, interracial marriage was outlawed. The Population Registration Act of 1950 classified all South Africans by race: white, black, colored, which referred to people of mixed white and non-white, and Indians that came over to work when the British started showing up. Now, the white group got to stay in the cities, while the other three groups were pushed out to the more remote areas, keeping them isolated and stopping them from getting better paying jobs. And the Group Areas Act from the same year made people move into neighborhoods or townships that were designated for their specific race. Basically broke up the racially mixed communities in South Africa's cities, and even tore apart families to keep the neighborhoods all one race.
So there's an actual physical color gradient as you progress out of the center of the city.
Yes, you can. Yes, as you drive out of the city, you can see things. You can see people just getting gradually
progressively darker
as you go. Which, I mean, it's horrible because if you were a white person and a black person who were in a marriage, and you had children, those children are going to be, some of them are going to be much lighter skinned, some of them are going to be much darker skinned. Your marriage is pretty much nullified. The white person would have to stay with the white community. The lighter skinned child would have to stay with the colored, or even with the Indian if they looked more Indian. So not even their own, technically their own quote unquote people. And the darker skinned kid and the black adult would live in black community. So your entire family could just be spread across this whole area in South Africa and not be able to see each other for God knows how long. Because it would, so you can find out here, it would become illegal for people of color to move amongst the regions for a certain amount of time.
That's just stupid.
It is. It's very stupid. That's the point of the show.
I know.
Stupidness.
So I always get like this when it comes down to like you watch a movie or something. It's an awful lot to do with like racism, and I'm always just sitting there kind of going like,
just
why?
Yeah.
It's just I don't know.
Inferiority. Anyway. I read a book. So I used to do the old book podcast with the wife, and we were talking about James Baldwin, and there was a person who brought up the fact that he believed that white people are racist against black people because men are insecure and jealous of white men are insecure and jealous when it comes to black men because of the size of their genitalia. It's like, well, maybe. Yeah, some of them.
I got nothing to worry about.
I already said you're a black man, Dan.
You hear that? That was just one half.
Now, then there was the Immorality Act in 1950, which made it illegal for people to even have relationships with someone of a different race. All these laws created a super oppressive society where the white minority had control over pretty much every part of life for everyone else. The Bantu Authorities Act of 1951 and later the Bantu Homeland Citizenship Act of 1970 created homelands or Bantustans for black South Africans, stripping them of their citizenship and political representation in South Africa. So now not only could you not vote, but you weren't even a fucking citizen of the country. You were just there, and nobody was there to represent you for anything. The Pass Laws Act in 1952 required black South Africans to carry passbooks to restrict their movement. Black people weren't allowed to stay in urban areas for more than 72 hours without a permit.
That sounds very familiar.
Does it?
Yeah. Something around the 1940s. You know, when there was a little guy with a funny mustache who was fucking around.
Yeah.
Sounds very similar.
Mm-hmm. Had a bunch of camps.
Yeah.
A bunch of camps. Yeah.
Yeah, he was also a dickhead.
Ooh, there's the controversial statement of the show.
Yeah, Hitler was a dickhead. Fucking Dickler.
That should make that the name of the episode. Hitler was a dickhead. Everybody thinks it's about Germany. No, it's about South Africa.
Yeah.
We just like saying Hitler was a
Hitler's
dickhead.
a dickhead. It's about tire fires.
Hey guys, Kevin here. So if you have a beard or somebody in your life that you love has a beard and you haven't gone to thebeardstruggle.com and used our exclusive coupon code TORTURE19 at checkout to save 19% off your entire order, what are you doing? Why not? I don't understand. They have everything you could possibly need for your beard or for the beard of the person you love. Growth kits, oils, washes, creams, butters, trimmers, straighteners, everything you could need for your beard, your hair, your face, your entire body. And it's quality, the best products you can buy. Over 10,000 Trustpilot reviews with a score of 4.7 out of 5. I mean, you know that you're going to get the best quality products you could possibly get for not just your beard, but your entire body. And with their 90-day money-back oath of honor and our exclusive coupon code TORTURE19, use at checkout, again, to save 19% off your entire order. If there's anything you don't like, which I don't see happening, but just in case, if there's something you don't like, you're not 100% satisfied with, within 90 days, send it back and you get your money back. It's just that easy. So what are you doing? Go to thebeardstruggle.com. Use our exclusive coupon code TORTURE19 at checkout. And as Dan would say, sort your fucking beard out. Strict censorship laws were enforced to suppress opposition to apartheid and censor all media that might cause people to question racial harmony. Opposition to apartheid. Listen, it's harmony.
That's a brilliant phrase. Yeah,
you keep these people over here,
harmony.
and these people over here, and these people over here. We don't consider these people, but we keep them over there. See, harmony.
Yeah, brilliant.
Opposition to apartheid grew, led by the African National Congress, or the ANC, the Pan-Africanist Congress, or the PAC, the South African Indian Congress, or the SAIC, and the South African Congress of Trade Unions, the SACTU. They had the Defiance Campaign of 1952, which were nonviolent protests against the passed law. The Congress of the People in 1955 led to the Freedom Charter, a document drafted by a coalition of these groups and more that were fighting for racial equality. 156 group leaders were charged with treason the next year. We just signed this thing saying that we're going to fight for racial equality. You're all traitors! Throw them in the brig! Tell the king! Or tell, I mean, Queen Elizabeth wasn't the queen yet, but she was still there. So, I mean, this is just as much her fault as it is anybody else's, I think, because it's still technically a part of the British Empire.
I will not have a bad word said about Liz.
She was a saint. I mean, not really, but she was a saint. She worked in World War II. She was a mechanic. Now, in 1960, police killed 69 protesters during an anti-pass law demonstration, which would be known as the Sharpeville Massacre, leading to the banning of the ANC and the PAC. In response, the ANC and the PAC adopted armed struggle. The ANC's military wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe, or the MK, was formed in 1961 and led by Nelson Mandela, who was
I thought you were going to say they joined forces and became like the YMCA or something.
There's a lot of acronyms in this episode.
Yeah. It's like a fucking car manual. One day they're ABS, next thing they're like CNC or something, and then TNT and fucking.
It's like, was it Loaded Weapon with Emilio Estevez and was it Samuel L. Jackson who was in that with him? And they're walking into the Girl Scout cookie factory. He's like, "We need the CIA and the FBI ASAP. Come down." And it's just like a minute and a half of just rambling off fucking acronyms. Now, Mandela was arrested in 1962 and sentenced to life in prison in 1964 at the Riviana trial. The Soweto uprising in 1976, thousands of students protested against being forced to learn Afrikaans. Police killed over 170 protesters, igniting nationwide unrest. Yes, students. 170, says protesters, but 170 students were murdered by the police because they said, we don't want to learn this language.
And good on them. The ones that did the killing, I mean, obviously. Oh, what was it?
No, right.
Yeah.
So
I'm too flummoxed hearing some of this shit. I have to think the worst thing is I know all this, most of this shit, but like, yeah, it's just flummoxes me all the time. God damn,
that's ridiculous.
bastards.
All because of the color of your skin. It's fucking.
Yeah, and as I already said, they were their first assholes. You know, like it's not it's not like they showed up at your front door and started causing hassle and all this load of shit. You know, like you came into theirs. You know, they were doing all the work and doing all this load of shit, and then you know what I mean, they beat them down to like I think it's I don't know. Anyway, go on. Fucking dickheads.
I think the worst part of all this is there's still people that would listen to this and go, yeah, that's the way it should be, yeah, all right, yeah.
Well, to those people, I say, go fuck yourself, okay?
Yes, go fuck yourself, fucking Nazi.
Seriously.
That's what you are.
We thank you for listening and bringing up our numbers and all that stuff, but go fuck yourself.
You can go fuck yourself. Thank you for listening. Please come back next week.
That's where I can tell you to go fuck yourself yet again.
Yeah, you
Please
just tune in. You tune in every episode, so I can tell you to fuck yourself. Just make sure you listen to the end of it. Make sure you listen to it for at least like 10 minutes, so it really registers on the rating scale. So you could see how tensions came to a boiling point, and how the citizens in the anti-apartheid movement could be led to violence. And so the mobs didn't just jump straight to necklacing those suspected of helping the government. They did, however, still use fire. They would make you what was called a Kentucky, meaning They left you looking like something off the menu at Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Okay.
There were quotes of, "We need more Kentuckys. We need to make more Kentuckys." Which, listen, if you're going to Kentucky Fried Chicken and you're getting just scorched fucking chicken, just dark, black, and ashy fucking chicken, you might need to go to a different Kentucky Fried Chicken.
That sounds like the chicken you get here if you go to, like, our equivalent of a deli. Like in supermarkets here, you'd have, like, a deli counter.
Sure, yeah.
Then, yeah, and sometimes they have to do hot food. They do, like, southern fried chicken that's, like, it's chucked into a fucking volcano or something. You know, it is... you can break a tooth on it.
Yeah, they got the fucking oil way too hot, and it burns the breading, and then the chicken inside's all dried out, and yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. I've had some bad southern fried chicken before.
Oh, these ones cooking in the oven, which is even worse, you see.
But, yeah, that doesn't... Because the breading, it needs...
It comes pre-breaded.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're here and you're making it from scratch, then you make your own breading with, whatever. But you need the contact from the breading to the oil to really get that. Just hot air is not going to do it near as well.
No.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people out. Yeah, there's going to be those air fryer people out there going, "You can make anything in an air fryer. Kentucky chicken's just as good."
All you got to do is go shake, shake, shake halfway through.
Just make sure I take it out every 10 minutes. Give it a good shake.
Fuck off.
Let that air fryer warm up about 400 degrees for about 10 minutes. You're good.
Because air frying is like the new fucking vegan thing at this age.
Listen, we have a couple air fryers. They come in handy when you want to make like if you want to make something like a couple chicken nuggets or something. You don't want a bunch. You put them in the microwave, they're gonna get soggy. So you just put them in the air fryer real quick for a few minutes, and they're fine. But these people who are making steaks in the fucking air fryer, no, go fuck yourself.
No, I used one once for the first time a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
and for what it was and what it was being used for, I was like, yeah, I can see thing here. You know what I mean? Not that I would use one. I was like, right, for me, if I was like, oh, cool, cooking for one, if I had to make something for myself real quick, chuck a couple of bits into it, why not? And then lo and behold, I know in about 100 years from now, it's going to probably be used as a fucking torture device or some shit. Watch.
I bet somebody's using it right now, this second, heating it up and then putting it against somebody's face.
Yep.
Feel the basket burn.
Ever since they changed those tires to recycled rubber again, they just don't do the same thing anymore.
They won't burn. It's like vegan cheese. It just won't melt.
God, I'm sorry, vegans, but if you choose to be vegan, you should give up on the idea of cheese because it's just...
Yeah, no, if you're going to be a vegan, then you don't get cheese. You don't get meat. You're vegan. All right? You don't get cheese-flavored things. You don't get meat-flavored things. You wanted to be vegan. You wanted to eat vegetables and fruit. Then fucking go eat them.
Actually, did I tell you about the breakfast we had when I was over in the UK?
You did not.
Not that I did divert about food here for a second, but I could have sworn the sausages we got were like the vegan sausages. I know they had some of that stuff on the menu, right? And this kid at the table near us got the faking, and it came out. You know the way you buy like the jelly stuff there, like the rainbowy looking strips covered in sugar. It was like that, but like 2 different shades of red. It was like something you buy like from Fisher Price in a cup, like a fake food set.
Yeah. It's Play-Doh?
Yeah. But then the sausages that we got, like the food was absolutely fucking disgusting.
Well, yeah, it's English food.
Yeah, no, like not that I have anything against England, but your food is fucking terrible. But and that's coming from a man who lives in a country where they boil everything. Yeah. But no, these sausages came out right, and we couldn't. They like to have like I want to say the skin on them, like the casing.
Yeah.
That shouldn't come apart from the sausage. Right, and not only that, it shouldn't be like leather when you're trying to cut through it. This thing was like, it was like they took a sausage and put it inside a condom and then deep fried it. It was fucking disgusting.
Hey, Steve, where's Steve Cooper? Hey, Steve, do you remember to take the condom off that sausage before you took it out to the Hourigan family? Oh, fuck, no. Well, I don't know, tell him.
Vegan sausages in a condom.
Listen, my daughter was a vegetarian and pescatarian for a long time. She's finally started eating meat again, which is great. But we had to do the vegan vegetarian bacon and sausage for a while, and it is not like the sausage wasn't near as bad, but the bacon was it looked like a fucking bookmark. It looked like somebody took a piece of plastic and drew what they thought bacon looked like on it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, it's shocking. I will say one thing real quick before we get back to the yuck now, though, is like my sister-in-law is vegetarian, and we keep a constant supply of like corn stuff in the freezer for in case they do come over and cook something up for dinner. And for the fun, like I made like a good old bolognese, as I tend to do whenever we're having a gathering, because it's an easy thing to make.
Yeah, it's easy and feed a million people with it.
Yeah, and even when she's coming over, I can do one for her, right? Because I'm doing the same base anyway, right? So now I do is divide a bit off and do a separate thing. So I decided to try it for the fun of it. So I got like these like vegan sausage meat thing and this other vegan shit. And I'm gonna be honest, I could tell the difference, but not so much. Like let's say my normal one. I cooked it for I always cook for hours, but like whenever I do a quick one, let's say the other one tasted like my quick one.
Sure,
if you get me, Yeah. So I wasn't too offended by it, but then again, I was also sitting there kind of going, "We all chose a life of vegetables, people. Stick with your fucking vegetables.
Yeah, stick with your vegetables.
Leave my food alone. Stop.
Why do you want vegetables that look and taste like meat? Just eat meat."
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the whole not wanting to support the meat industry because it can be fucking horrible and everything, but I mean, still.
Somebody else is going to eat it, or else it's going to end up in the bin.
You might as well enjoy your life. I do say that Impossible Whopper from Burger King is pretty fucking good, and we got my daughter a fake turkey for Thanksgiving years and years ago. It was the only time
it was a dog toy.
It was the only time we were ever able to find it. And it had a nice little char on the outside of it from cooking in the oven. And I took a little bit and I ate it. And honestly, it was pretty fucking good.
It's pretty nice than normal turkey, because normal turkey is shit.
Not as good as regular turkey. But
our turkey is so shit.
I like turkey. When it's fresh. I don't like when it's like cold and cut for sandwiches. I like it. But of like chunks of turkey that have gotten cold, you might as well just throw those out.
Yeah.
But anyway,
back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah. Now, when one man was questioned by a reporter about how they could possibly justify burning a man alive, he said, quote, "It works. After this, you won't find too many people spying for the police." Which, good point. But then, in the early to mid-'80s, the anti-apartment... I almost said anti-apartment. The anti-apartheid...
We don't want any more apartments.
The early 80s, mid-'80s, the anti-apartheid group decided, for whatever reason, to make burning alive somehow worse with necklacing. Now, we can never really know the very first time it was used or how it came about. But definitely the most famous use of necklacing was on July 20th, 1985. Maki Skosana, a 24-year-old single mother factory worker from the township of Deduza, was attending the funeral of a friend that had been killed, when she was then attacked. The friend was one of 4 youth activists that were tasked with bombing the homes of police officers with grenades. However, the grenades they were given were rigged to explode the moment the pin was pulled. Usually with a grenade, you pull the pin. As long as you hold the little handle down, the little thing, you're good. But once these pins were pulled, they just automatically exploded. The Third Force, a group of covert government operatives tasked with managing township resistance, was thought to be the perpetrators of the sabotage. And it was because Maki's connection to one of their members that it was believed she had been associated with the youth's deaths. So after the funeral, 5 100 people chased her to a field, jumped her, knocked her to the ground, kicked her, and beat her with clubs until she was almost completely unconscious. They stripped her naked, placed a large stone on her body to keep her from getting up, and then shoved broken glass inside. I'm sure you can...
Nether, yeah.
Yeah. Then they crammed a tire around her neck, poured gasoline on it and her, and set it on fire. One journalist reported, quote, "The crowd chanted and danced as the flames consumed her body. No one dared to intervene. Her screams eventually faded, and all that was left was a charred corpse. After the body was mostly burned, the mob took another heavy stone and dropped it on her face. For just good measure, I guess. I don't know.
Shits and giggles.
Yeah. Now, as horrible as this was, it still makes you question why this particular instance is the most famous. Well, that's because there was a television crew for the South African Broadcasting Corporation that was filming the funerals. So the entire attack, the beatings, the fire, all of it, was shown on live TV. Yes, children sitting at home watching the news got to witness a woman being burned alive. The state media obviously used this as anti-resistant propaganda to show the country what the violent anti-apartheid mobs were really like. I mean, and you're not wrong. It's like, well, we need to show everybody how violent these people are. Well, we got it on fucking TV. Let's just make 1 million commercials out of it and show it 24/7.
Yeah.
You stand against the government, this is what or you stand with the government, this is what they fucking do to you. Which somebody probably going to be like, well, then I'm not going to stand with the fucking government because I don't want to get burned alive.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah, it's true. I didn't think about it until just now, but I'm thinking, wait a minute, if I saw that on TV, I'd be like, you guys with the government? Fuck no. Government might throw
Stick with us, and this might happen to you.
Now, not everyone on the side of the anti-apartheid was in favor of necklacing. The ANC, Nelson Mandela, and Bishop Desmond Tutu all called for it to end, saying, quote, "If we are fighting against the brutality of the apartheid system, we cannot become as brutal as the system we oppose." Desmond Tutu actually fought off an entire mob to keep them from necklacing another suspected informant. He opposed the method so much, he threatened to give up the movement and leave the country, saying, quote, "If you do this kind of thing, I will find it difficult to speak for the cause of liberation. If the violence continues, I will pack my bags, collect my family, and leave this beautiful country that I love so passionately and so deeply." That's almost the equivalent of Martin Luther King saying, listen, if we keep with if my community keeps with this violence, I'm just going to move to Canada and say, fuck it. It's pretty much the same level. That's how important he was to the movement. Now, and even though Nelson Mandela himself was vocal about his opposition to necklacing, his wife Winnie Mandela, on the other hand, publicly and openly cheered the mobs on, which, go fucking figure, the woman would be all for the violence. Is she can she hear me? No. Okay, she's in the other room.
Anyway, back to how women are crazy. Right, let's go.
and she says she's for the violence, and I'm like, like, bitch. She's fucking Key and Peele. Now, as far as she was concerned, necklacing was a weapon that would win South Africa's freedom. Quote, "We have no guns. We have only stones, boxes of matches, and petrol. Together, hand in hand, with our boxes of matches and our necklaces, we shall liberate this country. Which, I mean...
we haven't got any guns. We got a shitload of tires. Went on down to Dave's Tire Yard. Got ourselves a shitload of tires.
You seen that show, The Simpsons? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. See that show, The Simpsons? That big-ass tire fire? Woo-wee, what we can do with that. I don't know why I just made the South Africans Southern Americans.
Well, I did the same thing.
All right. Yeah.
That's because we're not going to go put on other accents, Kevin.
Yeah. No.
We're not Leonardo DiCaprio. We can't get away with this shit.
Yeah, we're not going to.
No, he did the actual
Oscar contention.
Damn it, that was actually a very good movie.
That was a great movie, and he did a fantastic job. Samuel L. Jackson actually told him he had to do it that way, otherwise he wasn't doing the part justice. So
yeah.
So there. And this wasn't just like a one-off for Winnie Mandela. She was ruthless. So she had spent some time in prison herself. Like her husband was sentenced to life in prison. He will later get out, for those of you who don't know.
What?
Yeah, no, you didn't know?
Way.
Yeah, no, Mandela got out.
Spoiler alert, the Titanic
effect.
sinks at the end. Oh, God.
Yeah, no, he gets out later. He does good for a while. He spends years in prison, and like he gets out of prison. What was that Chris Rock joke? Nelson Mandela spent 20 years in prison. Still married to his wife. Gets out of prison. 3 years later, they're divorced.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised considering she sounds like a raving lunatic. You
know? The things that she does and the things that she said she stands for is a big contributing factor to their divorce. I mean, it's hard to be married to someone who has such a different ideological position than you. You know, you need to be kind of in line with certain things, and that's pretty bad. Thinking that it's okay to. Well, let's get into some of the other things she did. So she also spent a couple years in prison, being beaten and tortured, and it changed her. Quote, "What brutalized me so much was that I knew what it is to hate. I am the product of the masses of my country and the product of my enemy." So she had her own set of bodyguards, the Mandela United Football Club, who lived with her and was known to dress in military garb. And this football club was reportedly ordered to kidnap and murder people on her behalf on multiple occasions. Yes. The most famous of which was the abduction and murder of a 14-year-old, Stompy Moktesi, in 1989.
Stompy, he was a great name.
Well, they called it, his nickname was Stompy. They didn't give his real name.
Don't care. Great name.
Don't care. His name's Stompy forever.
Yeah.
Sounds gravestone Stompy. He was taken along with 3 other boys by the club, accused of being police informants, and beaten to death. So when you have one guy who is kind of known for being peaceful, and he's married to a woman who's literally ordering the deaths of children, the
sounds
two
familiar.
As he looks around to make sure she's not listening.
You mean to tell me that Nelson Mandela was married to a crazy woman?
Yeah.
And even he couldn't handle it? The man, the poster child for peace,
withstood torture in prison. Couldn't handle
that crazy.
Yeah. Listen, we all feel the struggle, bro. Yeah. If he's out there listening, I guess in heaven, because he is dead now.
Well, if Paul Bernardo's listening in that case, go fuck yourself.
Paul Bernardo's.
I'm really tempted to write that man a letter. Be like, hey, you should listen to this podcast. I'm your biggest fan, Paul. Yo, bro, hey, Paul, send me some of those sick tunes, bro.
Tell me all about how that woman shit on your chest.
Yeah. So innocent, dangerous.
pretty wild, man. Write me some rap lyrics. Dude, if we could get Paul Bernardo to write us some rap lyrics and we just read them on here and laugh at them, oh, God, it'd be so much fun. Now, South Africa.
Find his email address right now.
South
How
Africa.
to contact.
Invisible darkness at United States Federal Penitentiary.com. Now, South Africa might be the most prevalent area that used necklacing, but it definitely wasn't the only country that used it. Let's first head over to Sri Lanka, July 1983, a month before I was born, a.k.a. Black July. Now, Sri Lanka has a long history of ethnic conflict between the two largest ethnic groups, the Sinhalese, which were mostly Buddhists and made up around 74% of the population, and the Tamils, who were mostly Hindu, which were about 18% of the population. Now, in 1948, Sri Lanka gained its independence from Britain and decided to favor the Sinhalese, made Sinhala the official language in 1956, and discriminated against Tamils in education and government jobs. By the 70s, Tamil groups began pushing for greater autonomy, leading to the rise of militant separatist groups, the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, or the LTTE, a.k.a. the Tamil Tigers. Go Tigers, go!
Ooh, I know their football team.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what they did was they got their football team to go against Winnie Mandela's football team.
Yeah.
And they were all like, they punched a bit.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Cheerleaders and marching bands off to the side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
that was the final straw for Nelson.
He's like, I can't do it anymore.
No.
I don't care about the murder. I don't care about the killing and the horrible things you did. But I will be goddamned if I see somebody go root against my Tamil Tigers.
Yeah.
Go Tamil Tigers.
Then it cuts to Taylor Swift standing in the crowd.
Yeah. I'm dating one of the Tigers. Now, after the Tigers ambushed and killed 13 Sri Lankan soldiers in the city of Jaffna on July 23, 1983, Sinhalese mobs, with the apparent backing of the government, began attacking Tamil homes, businesses, and people on the 24th. In a matter of days, the violence spread across the country. Many of the Tamil were pulled from their houses and businesses, beaten, stabbed, and necklaced. Tamils were burned alive in their homes and cars. Trains and buses were stopped so Tamil passengers could be pulled out and murdered. Tamil women were raped and killed, all while the government forces stood by and did nothing to stop it. The riots in Sri Lanka are pretty crazy and fairly interesting. Maybe enough so to where they get their whole own episode, because there's a whole 500-page book written just about these riots that happened for this 1 month. So it might be enough substance there to just do a whole episode on, because they get fucking horrifying, the shit that's done to these people. And if it's horrifying, it's a podcast episode.
Vote now, everybody. Click that bell icon. Like and subscribe, and tell us right now, do you want an episode on that? If you do, cool. And if you are racist, fuck off.
Yeah. If you want an episode about it, say yay. If you're a fucking racist, say no. Those are your options. What was it? Run the Jewels said, because one of the guys is white and Killer Mike's black, and they said, if you don't like this band, you're a racist. It's like, well, can't argue with it. Now, we can also jump over to India, where necklacing was used on Sikh youths during the anti-Sikh riots of 1984. A lot of this kind of happens at the same fucking time. All within the 80s and 90s, this big blow-up of necklacing happens all over this part of the world.
So you start sharing it on Facebook. Everybody's like,
yeah.
just do that.
fucking Twitter stream on it. You did what? Oh, I got to try that, bud. The riots erupted after the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi by her Sikh bodyguards. Now, the early 90s, dormitories were being burgled in the Ivory Coast, and the students decided to take matters into their own hands. They caught the alleged thieves and necklaced them, the police powerless to stop them. In Haiti, necklacing became a thing during the political chaos of the 1980s and 1990s, after the fall of Jean-Claude Baby Doc Duvalier in 1986. His nickname was Baby Doc.
That's fucking
because his family, especially his father, Francois Papa Doc Duvalier. What's up, Papa Doc? Oh, this is my little baby Doc, and this is my Mrs. Doc, and this is my mid-sized Doc.
Coolest detective duo ever.
Tall Doc, fat Doc. Because every group, you have to have the one tall guy, the one skinny tall guy, and the one short fat guy who become like a comedy duo. Fat Doc and tall Doc. Now, he had ruled Haiti through a brutal dictatorship for decades. Papa Doc used the Tonton Macoute, which was basically a paramilitary death squad to keep everyone in line, operating with almost total impunity, arresting, torturing, and killing people who were even suspected of opposing the regime. So when Baby Doc was forced out and went into exile in 1986, the country was basically left in a power vacuum. The military stepped in, but there was still a lot of unrest and deep resentment toward the Tonton Macoute and anyone associated with them. And people saw the Macoute as the reason for so much suffering, and when the regime finally fell, that pent-up rage exploded into the streets. So if someone was suspected of being part of the Macoute or collaborating with the military, they were
They were in Macoots with each other.
But it wasn't just limited to the Macoute, though. As things got more chaotic, political rivals and personal enemies sometimes got targeted, too. If someone was accused of... This is one of those where neighbor versus neighbor, like the Salem witch trial. Like, oh, she's a witch. Just because you don't like that person, you start telling everybody they're a witch. Yeah. If you have a rivalry with somebody, you're like, oh, they're working with the Macoute. They're working with the military. And pretty much guaranteed they're going to, well, so is he. Well, so is he. Well, so is it. Well, so you both are. So yeah, you both.
It's like the Spider-Man picture.
Yeah. I'll point it.
Maybe we're all working with the Macoots.
If someone was accused of working with the military government or undermining democratic reforms, they could find themselves on the receiving end of a tire and a match. One of the worst periods of necklacing in Haiti happened in the early 1990s after Jean-Bertrand Aristide was elected president in 1990. Aristide had huge support from the poor and working class, but the military and the old elite weren't happy about it. Aristide got overthrown in a military coup in 1991, and that's when things really got out of control. Aristide's supporters, who were known as Lavalas, took to the streets to fight back. If someone was seen as working with the military regime, they were at risk of being necklaced. Aristide himself encouraged necklacing, saying it was, quote, a beautiful tool and smells good. Because you know that
how did it not run out of fucking tires?
Yeah, it's like the smell of burning hair, which he might have been talking about that as well, because of the whole body.
There's two types of burning rubber, though. Smell. There's the one where it's literally on fire, which, yes, smells putrid.
Yeah.
Because it's too much. Then there's the delicious, delicious scent of a racetrack.
There's one where I put my Toyota Camry in first, and I fucking hammer it.
That's your clutch burning the fuck up. That's what that is.
Well, I want to move now.
Yeah, it's like the time I came home and I'd been fairly fucking gunning it. And I came back and all I could smell was, I got out of the car, was brakes and clutch. Yeah. Like, it smells like success.
Yeah.
Got here 30 seconds quicker.
Yeah, it's not going to run in the morning, but I sure had a fun time coming home.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, we can't talk about something as horrible and as vicious as necklacing without bringing up the Brazilian mob. But their version was a little different and, if possible, more horrifying. Instead of sticking one tire over the victim's head, the person would be thrown into a stack of several tires, and the entire thing would be drenched in petrol and set on fire. They're like, oh, you see what they're doing? Just the one tire? No.
No bueno.
Tube of tires. Just lower them down, nice and easy.
Yeah.
Nice and easy. Are you down? Are you at the bottom? Set it on fire. We have these at like playgrounds, just tires set up kids can crawl through.
See, they were saving up their tires for years. That's what it was. They're looking at what's going on, and like one of the guys like, start saving your tires. We're gonna need them.
Yeah. It's like the one junk drawer you got with a bunch of like cables and shit you're never gonna fucking use. I'm gonna save them for something. Oh, we got all these tires.
Yeah.
We better save them. I think we might use them for something at some point.
Yeah. It's like that. Yeah, that 1 4-inch by 3-inch piece of wood that you have sitting around. Yeah. I'll use that sometime. My house is full of them. Kevin's gone, everybody. Yeah, exactly. I have a box full of them now. Oh, you couldn't hear me. You didn't have your headphones on. I said I have a box full of them now.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of these.
Shed. Yeah, they're all like 1,000,001 offcuts from everything I've been working on. This piece of countertop and everything in the fucking thing.
For those of you who are listening and not watching, this is a piece of wood.
Yeah. He just hit the microphone with his penis.
Piece of wood.
Yeah.
Slide off.
The fact you had to pick something off it afterwards was even better.
Yeah, well, it's dusty back there. It's dusty down there. What is that, cheese? All right. Yeah, the most famous case of which was, I think I hit a bunch of like my fucking settings on here. Everything sounds weird now. I fucking take my headphones off and I just throw them down.
He's so excited to show me the piece of wood.
Oh, I got wood.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, I got wood. I'm showing Dan my wood.
It's that kind of podcast now, baby.
It's that kind of podcast now. The most famous case of which was done to journalist Tim Lopez, who was doing a story on drug traffickers that controlled Vila Cruzeiro, the most violent slum area of Rio de Janeiro. The evening of June 2nd, 2002, Lopez was kidnapped by the traffickers and taken out to a desolate grassy hill where they burned his eyes out with cigarettes, cut off his hands, then his arms, then his legs with a samurai sword, all while he was still alive, obviously. Then he was placed inside several tires, covered in diesel fuel, and set on fire. This style was called microondas, or the microwave oven.
Nice. Science, bitch. I just imagine him sitting there like, 'tis but a scratch. The next thing they crack out the diesel and he's like, God damn it.
He's got no arms. It's fine.
I say best of two.
Get back here. I'll gnaw your ankles off. Now, in 1994, South Africa finally held its first equal and open elections, with the ANC winning 252 of the 400 National Assembly seats, 60 of the 90 Senate seats, and Nelson Mandela became the first black elected president of South Africa, effectively ending apartheid. Yes, golf claps. Now, necklacing lived on after apartheid, though.
They stopped those apartments.
In 2011, two young men that had broken into the home of 74-year-old Angela Mahawana killed her son and tried to sexually assault her before stealing their belongings. They were tracked down by a mob and necklaced in the street. In 2015, a group of 5 teenage boys were necklaced for getting in a bar fight.
Wait, which year did you say?
2015.
That's what I thought you said. I was like, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, this didn't go away.
Jesus.
There are several other one-off examples of violent vigilante justice. Some were torn on the subject. One individual saying, quote, "Mob justice is not right, but it has a place in our society." Others were outright against it. Quote, "Mob justice is wrong because sometimes the wrong people get punished. In the heat of the moment, there is a lot of room for mistaken identity. Luckily, it isn't used near as often as it was in the 80s, which was a lot. In its heyday of use between 1984 and 1987, anti-apartheid activists burned 672 people alive, at least half of them with the use of a tire necklace." That's a lot.
Yes, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Why don't they have tires sitting in museums for stuff, and they still have that stupid Iron Maiden thing that doesn't even exist? You know?
Yeah, fucking Iron Maiden wasn't even real, and they got it sitting there. But tires everywhere. Well, that's because your world is your museum when tires are your choice of torture.
That's true. It brings a whole new meaning to Hancock now for me, so...
Yeah.
Can't look at them the same way ever again.
In 1996, they held the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which was a court-like body assembled in South Africa that invited witnesses who were identified as victims of gross human rights violations to give statements about their experiences. Through investigation and testimony from Evelina Moloko, the sister of Maki Skosana, it was revealed that Maki had absolutely nothing to do with the deaths of those 4 youths, and she was simply, quote, "at the wrong place at the wrong time." So, that sucks. 10 years later, after one of the most vicious murders televised in South African's history, it turned out that, she didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, that's all I got. If it's not enough, I don't know what to tell you.
See ya. Bye-bye.
That's all I want to talk about. Yeah. All right, Dan, were you able to find any pop culture on this thing?
No, I couldn't find a thing that... And I know for a fact I've seen it. That's the worst thing. And yet I can't seem to find anything on it. Yeah, it's really annoying.
I would imagine there's a movie or something somewhere about...
I know I've seen people as if they're going to do it to somebody or something like that. Like, it's... Hell, it could have been in something like fucking Blood Diamond or one of those. Cause
or the Nelson... Whatever, that Nelson Mandela story with Morgan Freeman or whatever. It could have been in something. I'm sure it's out there, but... Yeah, I didn't see anything when I was researching stuff, because usually stuff like that pops up and be like, you may have seen this and no, you may have heard of this in a Taylor Swift song, and I was like, no, I haven't. But anyway,
maybe it's because it's spelled tire the other way.
Tyre.
Yeah. I had to spell it the American way.
Tire, the right way. Tire.
No.
Oh, well. Well, thank you to our patrons.
It was in the Shield.
You find something?
It was in the Shield. That's where I remember it.
The Shield?
Yeah.
Why would it have been in the Shield?
It was in season 2. Yeah.
Chickless just had one of those days.
As a character scene killing 2 Mexican gang members. He has them tied to a post, and he necklaces them. He has one tied around their waist and one tied around one on their neck. Yeah, I knew I'd seen it somewhere. So there you go, everybody. Go watch the entirety of The Shield. This is a great fucking show. And don't skip over season 2 where there's a scene. So there you go. It's the exact image I had in my head as well. There's a little still that's showing. So
I knew if I gave you a minute, you'd find something.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to our patrons, Willow, Quinn Fowler, Nevin, and Sam. You can sign up at our patreon.com/torturepod and 1 week of our cult leader tier for free, if you'd like. Connect with us on the socials at torturepod. Email torturepod@gmail.com. Buymeacoffee.com/torturepod if you want to, send some money our way. Redbubble.com/people/torturepod for the merch. All Pride merch profits donated to the Trevor Project. And they're going to, stuff like that, they're going to need it over here because, it's getting bad. It's getting bad. Go rate and review wherever you can. I'll just follow up with that. Also, thank you to our sponsors. You can support us by supporting them. And, that's hint for our next episode. It's real. I swear. Trust me.
So we're not talking about Jesus Christ?
Not yet. We'll get there eventually. Dan, any words of wisdom?
Yeah, never run barefoot in a dog park.
Or only run barefoot in a dog park, if that's
depends on what you're into.
It's pretty good. And don't be a fucking racist.
Oh, that's the best one. Don't be Paul Bernardo. Unless you are Paul Bernardo. In which case, keep being Paul Bernardo. Because you entertain me with your stupidity.
Sit in that cell and fucking waste away to nothing.
Where is Paul Bernardo imprisoned? Where is Paul Bernardo now? There's a little tracker on him, watch.
Should be in Canada somewhere.
It'd be really funny. There's like a little tracker on him. Where's Paul Bernardo now?
Just beep.
And it's
beep,
just,
beep, beep.
He's taking his shit. Yeah, correctional service of Canada. What's all that about?
Currently upset because 2 douches on a podcast keep calling him names.
Yeah.
He just sitting there listening to the podcast.
He was that one Patreon that we had that left. That's what it was.
It just shows up. Somebody signed up for the free account for 1 week. It's Paul B.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, I bet that's him. I don't like what you guys are saying about Paul Bernardo. He's actually a pretty cool guy. You wouldn't know because of you can't see him because of his invisible darkness. Oh, gotcha. You gave it away. Didn't know who you were until that last part.
Oh, God. Wouldn't you love to write him a letter? Wouldn't you, like, to see, does he reply? And be all like,
love to do a few things.
I love you, Paul. I'm your biggest fan. My name is Stan. Write me back.
My name is Steve Cooper.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
You must make barrels. Yeah, sure do.
Oh, make cool rap music about barrels.
All right. Anyway, that's all I got. That's all we got. That's pretty much. Let's get the fuck off here. All right. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. We'll see you.
Slán.
Thank you.